Coming up tonight, awaiting the writ. The process to fill the West Grand Bahama and Bimini seat has officially begun. The House Speaker officially notifying the Governor General of that vacancy. Plus, business continues. We now know who will temporarily fill the shoes as Social Service Minister. This following the sudden death of Minister Obi Wilchcombe. And later, the Bahamas National Youth Choir celebrates 40 years. Our Sasha Lightborn brings you the sweet songs of the choir that's making the Bahamas proud. And then in our news at 7:30, Grand Bahama residents are weighing in on who they think would be the best person to fill the former MP's parliamentary post. These stories and more as Our News Live at 7 starts right now. Welcome to Our News Live at 7. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Megan Shepard sitting in for Candino Knowles. Governor General Cynthia Mother Pratt has officially been notified of the death of West End, Grand Bahama and Bimini MP Obi Wilchcombe. Parliamentary Chief Clerk David Forbes telling us the letter from the House Speaker was delivered Thursday. Now, we await a writ from the Governor General, which will officially kick off the 2023 by-election season.
The Speaker has to herself get proper notice of the death of Minister Wilchcombe. That does not happen by news reports or anything like that. The Speaker's notice would come from the person who signs off on the death notice, who would be the coroner. So once the Speaker gets the coroner's official statement notice that Minister Wilchcombe has passed, that it is that she operates on. She doesn't operate on any other kind of information because the coroner is the person who signs the death notice and declares somebody dead.
Wilchcombe died suddenly on Monday, leaving the West End and Grand Bahama and Bimini seat vacant. Once that writ is issued from Governor General Cynthia Mother Pratt, the government has no less than 21 days and no more than 30 days to hold that by-election.
From that, the law says that as soon as practicable thereafter, the Governor General will issue a writ of election for the West Grand Bahama and Bimini constituency. That's the sequence in the process in the event.
So the letter has been delivered already to the GG?
Yes, the letter was delivered to the GG yesterday around 4:15 p.m.
Due to Wilchcombe's death, Prime Minister Philip Davis is temporarily assuming the role of Minister of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting. The news coming from Communications Director in the Office of the Prime Minister, Latrey Ramming. Now, some have asked if Wilchcombe's passing will have any impact on the opening of Parliament set for October 4th. Former Chief Parliamentary Clerk Maurice Tyne says Parliament will reconvene as scheduled.
I'm sure that they'd have a period where they bring condolences and then stand for a moment of silence in his memory. So it wouldn't impact the Parliament's meeting. That'll still go ahead. But at some point, his body should be laid out in the House of Assembly, the foyer of the House of Assembly, when the state members will come and view the body, and then the general public.
Tyne says this is a very important time in Bahamian history, as this is only the third sitting member of Parliament to pass in an independent Bahamas.
I think this is very educational for members of the media like yourself, who've never experienced it before. Minister Wilchcombe was a very well-liked person, and so I think it's going to be very meaningful to a lot of people.
Days after the untimely passing of her longtime friend and parliamentary colleague, Education Minister Glenys Hannah Martin is speaking out about Wilchcombe's death. In a lengthy post to her Facebook page, Hannah Martin sharing that Wilchcombe's death was sudden, unexpected, and brutally final. The post reads, "We were classmates in high school at Queen's College and adolescents coming into our own in an era when independence was won. Wilchcombe and Hannah Martin served in Parliament for successive terms and now in Cabinet together for a third time. She says the loss is incredibly painful because he had so much more to offer. Despite this, she says his work will continue and his contribution to building a better country will not be forgotten. Meantime, a 34-year-old teacher is behind bars after being accused of indecently assaulting a 16-year-old student. Prosecutors say Eugene Bain touched the girl's genitals through her clothing at a school in Eleuthera on September 14th. Bain was not required to enter a plea to the charge when he stood before senior magistrate Carolyn Bo Evans on Friday. Bail was denied and he returned to court in January for voluntary bill of indictment papers. Well, it's time now for your first look at temperatures. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is standing by in the Weather Center. Greg?
Yeah, thanks, Megan, and a happy TGIF Friday, everybody. It was a hot and steamy day around the islands, most of the islands actually, with temperatures getting up into the low to mid-90s. We are now settling into the mid-80s, 85 degrees outside our studios right now with a few clouds. The winds are out of the east-southeast at 8 miles per hour, and factoring the relative humidity, it feels like 93. It's still rather warm on the outside. Temperatures around the islands right now, it's 85 in Freeport, Alistown, Bimini, and here in the capital, 86 Great Harbor Key and in Nickel San Andres. Over in Marshall, Barbacoa, you guys are 84, Governor's Harbor, 84 as well, and you do have some showers and a couple isolated thunderstorms nearby. Central Bahamas, 84s in Kemps Bay, Arthurstown, Cat Island, with some showers and thunderstorms nearby. Deadman's Key also 84, 85 in Georgetown, Cuba San Salvador, and into the southeast Bahamas. 86, Duncantown, Ragged Island, and Providenciales. 85 is Colonel Hill, Cricket Island, Delectable Bay. Abrams Bay 84, Deep South, Matthew Town, Inagua, you guys are 87 at this hour. Taking a look at our satellite, we don't have much in terms of any significant weather. Most of that moisture that was across our area lifted across Florida now. That's associated with surface trough. There's also a frontal boundary stationary across the north central portions of the state. So most of the activity will stay up that way, but that front is actually going to be drifting towards the south. So we should see one or two isolated showers on the weekend, possibly even an isolated thunderstorm. And high pressure will dominate the remainder of the islands through that period. That's your first look at weather. Stick with us. A look at your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, red light runners beware. The Ministry of Works and Utilities looking to hold irresponsible drivers accountable. Plus, the National Youth Choir celebrates 40 years of existence in grand style. We'll tell you about their growth over the past 4 decades. And reaching the future leaders of tomorrow, a local church to host a National Children's Outreach Day. We've got the details when our news continues.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP-1 elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
The Ministry of Works and Utilities now working even closer with the Royal Bahamas Police Force Traffic Division. Senior Traffic and Transport Engineer in the Ministry of Works and Utilities, Joy John, says there's a cost for running red lights, and it's not just monetary.
That if you have an accident today, you're going to be taken to the hospital. So the health facilities have to spend a lot more money to these ignorant drivers or errant drivers who deliberately running the red light. So what I'm emphasizing to the public is that importance of following the traffic rules. It's for your safety, it's for your economy, and for everybody's well-being.
John says thanks to the new technology, they're able to receive real-time alerts, which could help cut down response times of first responders and other necessary teams.
If you hit the intersection today, out of these 69, if you hit one, I get the alert.
He adds this now allows the ministry to present footage to the police, and those offenders will be held accountable. John says the ministry will now be ramping up their partnership with the traffic division.
A number of police officers, they're going to be deployed and looking after these areas where we have analyzed and experienced a number of high frequency of red light runners. I'm urging the public to follow the rules.
Tomorrow, United Faith Ministries International will host a National Children's Outreach Day, held under the theme Reaching Future Leaders, Our Children. Senior Pastor Apostle Falman Ferguson says the day will be an opportunity for children to have fun while learning about how they can be the leaders of tomorrow.
It's important for the church to do like Jesus did. He did not just preach the gospel, but he demonstrated the gospel, and that is in giving to those persons that are hurting. And that's what we're seeking to do tomorrow. We want to offer the whole man, the entire part of all of our needs. And food is important. We're also going to be extending clothing, brand new children's clothing and shoes, lots of it, to give away on tomorrow.
Located at United Faith Ministries International on Fire Trail Road, the event will run from noon to 5 p.m. They tell us they're expecting at least 500 children, and Administrative Assistant Marissa Maycock says there will be no shortage of activities.
It's not just for the Carmichael Road community, but we're inviting parents and children from all walks of life to meet us here at United Faith Ministries right here on the grounds, number 126 Fire Trail Road, as we cater to your children. I talked a little bit about the bouncing castle, but there are individual rides for our children. Yes, we spared no expense because we wanted to be intentional about engaging them throughout the time that they would spend with us.
It's been 40 years since the Bahamas National Youth Choir has existed, and next month they're celebrating with several events. Our Sasha Lightbourne went to one of their practices.
When many think of the Bahamas National Youth Choir, they think of the legacy of Cleophas Adderley, the choir's founder and longtime director up to his passing in 2017. 40 years after it formed, the choir is going strong, having performed all over the world and for so many. Choir director Dexter Fernandez speaks to its decades of musical mastery.
It's not just a choir, it's an institution. They learn some soft skills that they do not learn anywhere else. And so we have survived because of our patrons, our support, and those individuals who have passed through a wall who continue the legacy of the work.
Alumni members Anton Smith and Nicola Sina Davis share why they had to be part of the 40th celebrations.
It's an awesome feeling. I'm just happy that we all came together for one purpose, to represent the Bahamas with song.
It was only a 5-year span that I was in the choir, but it has done so much for me and my growth as a person, as a singer, and even as a mother.
I also spoke to current member Vivian Minnis and alumna Latoya Hannah Moxie.
It's a great opportunity to see past members and current members together, because it shows that the organization is still alive and doing its thing.
Listening to everybody sing, stretching our vocal cords that we haven't done in decades, some of us. I mean, it's just, there's a feeling that we're getting of nostalgia that just reminds us of how wonderful it was.
Events throughout the week include a church service on Sunday, a talent search night, happy hour, culminating with a gala event on October 7th at Bahamar. Reporting for our news, I'm Sasha Lightbourne.
And our news comes back from the break. We turn our spotlight to stories making headlines across the world as Bangladesh records nearly 1,000 deaths due to dengue fever. Plus, a student gunman has left at least 3 people dead. We'll tell you about the twin shootings that left a teenager and her mother dead. And from the region, Antigua and Barbuda's leader announces his country will be sending a military contingent to Haiti. We have the details when our news continues.
United Faith Ministries International will host its National Children's Outreach Day.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP won elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer service.
This is Our News. Welcome back. We turn our attention now to stories making headlines across the world. Nearly 1,000 people have died of dengue in Bangladesh in recent weeks, in what authorities say is the country's most severe outbreak of the disease yet. Extraordinarily wet monsoons have made it easier for mosquitoes that carry the dengue virus to breed in dirty and stagnant water. Officials have struggled to contain the spread of the disease, and hospitals have been critically overwhelmed. Dutch police have arrested a student gunman who killed at least 3 people in twin shootings in the city of Rotterdam. They say the 32-year-old male attacker opened fire in a home before setting it alight, then stormed the city's Erasmus Medical Center on Thursday. A 39-year-old woman and her 14-year-old daughter were killed in the first shooting. A 43-year-old male lecturer was shot dead at the hospital. A growing stream of ethnic Armenian refugees are fleeing following a seizure that disputed region last week. More than 3,000 people have so far crossed into Armenia. Edward Baran has more.
Armenia's Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan said the likelihood was rising that Nagorno-Karabakh's 120,000 ethnic Armenians would flee the region, fearing persecution. That's after an Azerbaijan military victory last week in a conflict that dates back to the fall of the Soviet Union.
Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh continue to face the threat of ethnic cleansing. In recent days, humanitarian aid has arrived in Nagorno-Karabakh, but this does not change the situation.
A mass exodus could change the delicate balance of power in the South Caucasus region, a patchwork of ethnicities crisscrossed with oil and gas pipelines, where Russia, the United States, Turkey and Iran are jostling for influence. Last week, Azerbaijan scored a victory over ethnic Armenians who've controlled the Karabakh region since the dissolution of the Soviet Union. An advisor to the leader of the Karabakh Armenians told Reuters earlier on Sunday that the population would leave because they feel unsafe under Azerbaijani rule. Russia had acted as a guarantor for a peace deal that ended a 44-day war in Karabakh 3 years ago, and many Armenians blame Moscow for failing to protect the region. Indeed, Pashinyan blamed Russia publicly on Sunday for failing to do enough for Armenia, which he said would review its alliance with Moscow. Russian officials say Pashinyan is to blame for his own mishandling of the crisis.
Antigua and Barbuda announced today that it would be sending a military contingent to Haiti as a part of efforts to restore law and order in the country. The decision to send members of the Antigua and Barbuda Defense Force to the French-speaking Caribbean community country was taken following a meeting last Friday on the sidelines of United Nations General Assembly in New York. Cuba and Russia are working together on the case of Cubans recruited to fight in the Russian military, according to Russia's ambassador to Cuba. The Cuban government earlier this month said that young Cuban men had enlisted in the Kremlin's military in recent months as mercenaries and victims in alleged human trafficking schemes amid the ongoing war in Ukraine. Still to come in our news, today in history, find out interesting facts about the day that was September 29th. Plus, the Bahamas are on track to becoming the regional hub for artists across the Caribbean. A leading resort is leading the charge. And then in our news at 7:30, by-election for Bimini and West Grand Bahama. Residents weigh in on how they want to be represented following the passing of their beloved representative. That's coming up when our news returns.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP1 elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
Welcome back. It's now time to turn our spotlight on events that shaped the day that was September 29th. Take a look. On this day in Bahamian history, on the 29th of September 1729, the first meeting of Parliament, General Assembly, took place and was made up of 24 members representing the islands of New Providence, Eleuthera, and Harbor Island. In 1887, Inagua experienced severe shocks of earthquakes that was outlined in the Inagua Light Station report to the Inspector of Lighthouses. The report stated that this station and island was visited by several severe shocks of earthquakes at 7 a.m., which shook the tower and dwelling severely. The resident justice reports that the second shock at 10 p.m. shook the tower very much and smashed the cylinder on the lamp. The light was then extinguished to prevent fire. Fast forward to 2020, former House Speaker and Nassau Village MP Halton Moultrie called for the death penalty to be carried out after 2 children were slain in his constituency.
But with the recent murders of 2 children in Nassau Village just 7 days apart, the area's MP said it's time for the Bahamas to stop dancing around the issue of capital punishment.
I believe that if the laws are on the books, they should be enforced.
And in 2021, health officials reported COVID-19 cases began decreasing.
Though there were nearly 1,000 less confirmed cases in September when compared to August, and 25% less people hospitalized compared to 3 weeks ago, former Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands says there are still very, very sick patients in the nation's hospitals.
While we are gratified that there are not 200 people hospitalized, or 180, the fact that we are still at 140, the system remains overwhelmed.
We are officially 4 weeks away from the highly anticipated second Bahamas Culinary and Arts Festival presented by Bahamar. When it comes to the arts, ECHO is the resort's newest addition to that department. And as Executive Director for Arts and Culture, John Cox tells me, the 13,000 square foot space serves several purposes.
We have a studio in the back, we have a project space, so it's like a multi-layered, we have the lounge in the front here, so it's a multi-layered space that allows us to interface with other parts of the resort. There are lots of events that take place in here.
This year, the festival will introduce its newest component, which is expected to transform the art community in the region. The Caribbean Art Fair, called Fuse, will be the first of its kind in the region. Cox says, think Art Basel in Miami Beach.
This year, it's a big step for us. We have 20 booths. We have 7 countries represented in the fair this year, as well as many local galleries will be participating in it. So it's a really exciting step, not just for the Bahamas, but also for the region. We think that the Bahamas is the best positioned country in the region for this type of initiative.
Apart from the international partnerships, Cox adds that the local support of artists and galleries is also expected to be exceptional.
We have a great turnout. We have Turn Gallery. We have another gallery called 6260. We have the Maestra Gallery. We have Project Ice. We also have represented in a retail perspective the National Art Gallery of the Bahamas, and then we have individual artists being represented as well.
As for what attendees can expect during the weekend of October 27th through the 29th,
we have films, we have workshops, demonstrations. We'll be screening Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, which is, as everybody knows, a legendary Bahamian film. So we're excited about that, with some enactments from that movie being a part of it, and high tea, etc. So we have a lot of fun things for people to come down and experience.
Now, to watch that story again and for all of today's top stories, visit ournews.bs. That does it for Our News Live at 7. Joining us now is our Talia Hall with the latest headlines. Talia.
Yes, Megan, great story. Fuse, it looks exciting. Are you going to go?
I am definitely going to be there. Make sure to tune in next week Friday for the finished pieces of my artwork.
Hopefully you take me with you, but we'll see how that works out. All right, thanks so much, Megan. Well, Grand Bahama residents are weighing in on who they think would be the best person to fill the former MP's post, and a trial date is set in the Omar Davis murder case. Here are your latest headlines. A lasting mark. First tonight on Our News Live at 7:30. Grand Bahama residents say there's they choose to fill after the member of parliament for West Grand Bahama and Bimini passes away. Also, an official trial date has been set for the young man accused of murdering Omar Davis Jr. Plus, an investment opportunity. This as some contractors are partnering with the Ministry of Works to clean up a family island. We'll tell you where coming up. And later, $30 million approved for the Bahamas Development Bank. Hear how all islands across the country will be able to benefit when Our News Live at 7:30 returns.
Tourism today. Bahamas Tourism today.
Each year on September 27th, we join
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP-1 elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Cable Bahamas Business Solutions SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions at 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP1 elections, ushering...
Welcome to our news and thank you for joining us. I'm Atalia Hall. As funeral plans for the late Obi Wilchcombe are underway, there have been talks about a by-election, which we may see in the coming weeks. But the question that many have been asking is, who is best suited to fill the role as Member of Parliament for West End and Bimini, as well as Minister of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting? Here's what Grand Bahama residents have to say.
He left something in our hearts, I think, for years that's going to be remembered, and that is a minister that cared.
A man of love, care, and service to his country. That's how former Social Services, Information and Broadcasting Minister Obi Wilchcombe has been described. While it's been up for debate whether or not now is the time to have the discussion, many across the Bahamas have been asking who will now be at the helm of the West Grand Bahama and Bimini constituency, as many residents say Wilchcombe was dedicated to the people.
It's going to be a very difficult shoes to fill, because Obi was a person that he had an impeccable memory. He would go from house to house. He has seen generations come and go.
PLP Chairman Fred Mitchell has promised residents in the West Grand Bahama and Bimini constituency that a fit and proper person will be selected to represent the area.
I trust that they will find someone to walk in his footsteps. They might not cannot fill his shoes, but they will walk closely behind him in his footsteps.
I'm quite sure with the help of the constituents in West End, along with the council and the Prime Minister and his cabinet, they will find an honorable person.
And if they are not going to fill the shoe, I mean, they need to at least try to just do the best entrance, and then that'll be for the people.
Grand Bahama resident Ricardo Lightbourne says this is a wake-up call for the West Grand Bahama and Bimini constituency.
This is where you need now to pull up your socks, take care of your community, take care of each other, and move forward. That's what he would want you to do.
Now it's been announced that Prime Minister Philip Davis will temporarily assume the role as Minister of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting. According to the Communications Director in the Office of the Prime Minister, Latre Ramming, a formal appointment of a substantive minister will be made at the appropriate time. Now these Grand Bahamian residents say the focus should be focusing on Wilchcombe's legacy.
I had a problem with people just running around the next day and saying, oh, we're going to get this person, we're going to get that person. Man, life is not all about that.
We have to give respect to people who gave their lives to public life. Public life isn't easy. You wake up every day fighting for causes, and it's a thankless job.
All right, well, 2 men and a juvenile boy are in police custody after they were found with 9 guns and over 1,000 rounds of ammunition. Police press liaison officer Chief Superintendent Chrisling Skipping says the commissioner will address the issue.
After 11 last night, officers from our Operation Secure City, acting on intelligence, executed a search warrant on a residence in the Sunset Park area. While while searching, they found 10 ammunition. I know earlier in the press release it was 9. However, after conducting a thorough search, it was actually 10 weapons that were located and over 700 rounds of ammunition.
Well, a judge has set a March 2024 trial date for the man accused of the murder of Omar Davis Jr. 21-year-old Norman Toussaint learned his trial date after entering a not guilty plea at his arraignment before Justice Cheryl Grant Thompson. Toussaint's trial is set for March 4th through 15th. He remains on remand at the prison. Prosecutors say Davis was visiting Toussaint's home on August 15, 2022, when the friends had an argument. Toussaint allegedly stabbed the 21-year-old multiple times, killing him. Davis's family reported him missing on August 16th after he did not return home. The 21-year-old's body was found in a garbage bag in the trunk of his black Honda Fit on August 16th. Well, contractors on a family island getting an opportunity to partner with the Ministry of Works and a construction company to clean up the island while investing in the local economy. Our Joshua Williams reports.
Local contractors in Eleuthera are getting a piece of the pie. The Bahamas Striping group of companies, along with the Ministry of Works, signing with 20 contractors on the island of Eleuthera in the cleanup effort campaign. The project focuses on the Eleuthera dump and the removal of bulk waste from all settlements. Member of Parliament for South and Central Eleuthera Clay Sweeting, who also serves as Minister of Works and Family Island Affairs, says it's all about ownership.
I'm here to witness a Bahamian-owned company, a young company, an ambitious company, empower 20 other Bahamian-owned companies to realize their own version of the Bahamian dream. You often hear endless requests for a job. And while it is good to be able to provide employment, empowering people to be owners and employers of our beautiful Bahama land is even more important.
As for what residents can dump,
old appliances, old furniture, construction material, or if they cut down some trees or whatever, they would need to put that, whatever they want collected, they would need to put it at the front of their properties.
This signing is just the latest in ongoing efforts to improve infrastructure on the island. Executive Chairman for Bahamas Striping, Dominic Sturb, says while the cleanup efforts are important, it's more about providing opportunities for the small man.
We're going to work with the local companies to ensure that they get a piece of the pie. And not get some of the crumbs that drop on the floor, but they actually get a piece of the pie.
As for what it means for this contractor,
the Bahamas Striping, they're giving everyone an opportunity to have a bite of the pie, and it's a great opportunity. And I'm sure our company, along with every other company, is very grateful for the opportunity that we represented with.
Now work on the island will begin as early as next week, with cleanup efforts set to be done by the first week in December. Reporting from Rock Sound, Eleuthera for Our News, I'm Joshua Williams.
All right, great stuff. Thanks, Josh. Well, we have much more to get to in a moment, but for now, meteorologist Greg Thompson joins us from the Weather Center with a first look at weather. Greg?
Yeah, thanks, Natalia, and welcome everybody for TGIF. Quick look at conditions around the islands and outside our studios. 85 degrees with a few clouds on the outside. Your winds out of the east-southeast at 8 miles per hour, and your field-like temperature is at 93. Satellite and radar composite showing a lot of activity now pushing up across Florida. We're still having some showers and thunderstorms across portions of the northwest Bahamas, Grand Bahama getting in on some action up the Andros area as well as Bimini. But most of the activity will stay to the north of us. That's courtesy of a surface trough and a frontal boundary that's stationary across central Florida. We expect that front to slide southwards towards the area throughout the remainder of the weekend. That's a quick check on conditions around the islands and outside our studios. Stick with us. A look at your weekend forecast and the tropics still to come.
Still to come on Our News, business owners may be able to receive some assistance. This as $30 million is approved for the Bahamas Development Bank. Plus, Royal Caribbean International's $100 million development project is making progress. We have an update from a top executive when Our News continues.
Doctors Hospitals reimagine primary care. We have invested to improve our health system, ensuring that accessible, affordable, world-class clinical care is closer to you. Your relationship with a primary care provider shapes the foundation of your overall health. Our new, modern primary care facilities are where critical diagnosis and true personalized treatment begin. With locations across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Exuma, we invite you to experience the Doctors Hospital difference. Book your next appointment at clinics.doctorshos.com.
Introducing the Focus.
Favorite Bahamian artist of all time. I'll give you some time to think with it.
The greatest Bahamian song was recorded by the beginning of the end, Funky Nassau.
We're in a day and age where things can be different and still be authentically Bahamian because it's the Bahamian people bringing it to you.
Junkin was like the heart and soul of the Bahamian culture.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP won elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer.
Funding for Bahamian businesses on the way. This is Cabinet has approved a $30 million for the Bahamas Development Bank. BDB Chairman Quintin Lightbourne making the announcement today during the Office of the Prime Minister's weekly press briefing. Lightbourne says all islands will benefit.
For nearly 2 decades, this institution has endured a capital drought that has hindered its ability to fulfill its mandate in supporting development of our Bahamian economy. Today, I'm proud to say that this is a point of change. The Cabinet Office of the Bahamas has approved a $30 million capitalization from the Afram Exim Bank. The approval of this funding reflects a historic transformation of the Bahamas Development Bank. We have essentially rebuilt this institution from the ground up, instilling best practices in our policies, operations, and governance. The facility is open to all Bahamians operating businesses or projects in the sectors in which the bank operates.
Now, Lightbourne says a few businesses are already in the pipeline to receive funding, adding that by the end of November, funds will be in hand to be dispersed to local businesses.
We are dedicated to enhancing food security by investing in smart agricultural solutions, reducing our dependency on imports, and increasing our exports by expanding the value-added manufacturing sector. Moreover, we aim to diversify and expand our tourism product to unforgettable experiences for our visitors. I would like to say, in addition to this, we are committed to preserving our cultural assets, ensuring that they remain the cornerstone of our tourism industry. Energy efficiency and renewable energy will be the focus for us going forward.
Despite being at the center of much controversy, Royal Caribbean International's $100 million development on Paradise Island is moving full steam ahead. You may recall that the project was a bone of contention for neighboring Paradise Island property Atlantis environmentalist and Bahamian entrepreneur Toby Smith, who had also been fighting for land to develop his $2 million Paradise Island lighthouse and beach club. However, back in August, RCI received the green light from the Department of Environmental Protection and Planning, while Royal Beach Club President Philip Simon responded this way.
Controversy opportunity. For me, what we had were various stakeholders because, again, the partnership is diverse. We have neighbors over there on Paradise Island that express concerns. We had environmentalists that express concerns. We've been very transparent and open with every single one of them. We've answered every question that was presented, and we made adjustments where necessary. And so, I wouldn't consider it controversy per se. It was a very robust conversation, no doubt about it, and we're still in that process towards finalizing at least the environmental aspect of the project.
Simon says it feels good to finally be at some common ground.
I mean, it's great. I don't think we doubted the fact that there was opportunity for collaboration and that, the meeting of the minds and the back and forth would have come to this result. We believe we have an excellent product, and certainly we intend to be great neighbors, and I think there may be opportunity for partnerships in the future.
All right, well, Agriculture Minister Jomo Campbell says farmers are optimistic about the proposed cannabis bill. Our Joshua Williams reports.
The introduction of medicinal cannabis has sparked buzz around the country, particularly in the agriculture community. With this comes the need for the marijuana plant to be grown. Agriculture Minister Jomo Campbell says farmers are excited.
Anything new in the Bahamas, we like and we love. And this industry is going to create a new window of opportunity and growth. As the chairman said, something is always growing in BAIC, and we always want to keep something growing in the Bahamas legally.
Last month, Attorney General Ryan Pinder introducing the government's proposed legislation for a cannabis bill. So far, the proposed bill will allow for doctors to prescribe cannabis for medicinal use, as well as a sacrament for religious beliefs. Despite the excitement, Campbell notes the importance of doing things the right way.
In the midst of excitement, sometimes we can let our passion and emotion run away with us, and the legal personality in me always tends to lean towards the side of getting it right.
Campbell also giving his take on those arrested for minor marijuana infractions.
The sort of minor infractions that go hand in hand with simple possession of dangerous drugs, sometimes, they scar an individual for life. You have teenagers who make sometimes boyish, childish mistakes, and they have records attached to them that they can never get over. It prohibits them from traveling, it prohibits them from seeing the world, and that really, tends to shrink the mindset of certain persons. So to see this opening up, it really affects the country on many different levels.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Joshua Williams.
We've got an exclusive interview with one of our elite Bahamian athletes as Jazz Chisholm launches his Little League this weekend. Don't go anywhere, Our Sports is coming up next.
Extremely hot temperatures on this Friday as we wrap up the work week. Greg is back with what you can expect for the rest of the weekend when Our News returns.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP won elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Cable Bahamas Business Solutions SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions at 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP-1 elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results.
Today's sports update is sponsored by Michelob Ultra, distributed in the Bahamas by Jimmy's Wines and Spirits.
This is Our News. Welcome back. We speak to one of our very own track and field superstars, and a new youth baseball league is all set to launch. Here's Tej Adderley with a check on sports. Tej?
Thanks, Ataya. Good evening, happy Friday. I'm Tej Adderley here to finish off the week strong with some sports. Anthony Strawn recently came off a really strong season, culminating in a silver medal at the Prefontaine Classic in Oregon. Our Sasha Lightburn had the chance to speak to her today.
Anthony Strawn has had one of her best track seasons to date. She performed well, making the 200 finals at the World Championships in Budapest back in August, and placed second behind her training partner, Sharika Jackson, at the Diamond League closeout in Oregon this month. We asked her how she felt overall with her 2023 season.
This season I've reconstructed the way I've done a lot of things, and it has turned out very successful. As everybody could have seen, this is the first season that I finished healthy and actually did the entire season from a little bit of the indoor straight to the Diamond League finals in Oregon.
We also asked Strawn what she's doing this off season.
I'm just doing some things here at MacFit, like gym-wise, and just to keep my body going, because I am eating wherever I want to eat right now. I am more of a laid-back person, so I'm not really doing nothing much, probably going to a beach here or there.
She also spoke to us about her expectations for the Paris Olympics next year.
I'm also going to actually try achieve the national records in the 100 and the 200, because I do think that they are very much in reach for myself. And I am going on a medal hunt basically next season for Olympics.
Reporting for Our Sports, I'm Sasha Lightborn.
Thank you, Sasha. Great work as always. Marlins star outfielder Jazz Chisholm recently announced that he was starting a youth league right here in New Providence. Tomorrow is that league's opening day. The Jazz Chisholm Foundation recently announced the formation of a youth league. That league's opening day is tomorrow right here in New Providence. The league will aim to teach about 200 kids from age 4 to 14 the fundamentals of baseball while providing them with free uniforms, cleats, and backpacks. It's always great to see a superstar coming home and giving back. Before we go, Jonquel Jones and the Liberty are playing the Connecticut Sun right now in their semifinal series. We're done with sports for the week. It's the weekend. I'm Tej Adderley. Have a great one.
Still ahead on Our News tonight, a local sorority doing their part to give back to the nation's youth. We'll tell you all about it coming up. Plus, extremely hot weather to close out the work week. Hopefully, temperatures cool down this weekend. Greg is back with your extended forecast right after this quick break. Stay with us.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP-1 elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas business solutions.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Cable Bahamas Business Solutions SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions at 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP-1 elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies
Welcome back to our news. It's the end of another work week, and as we head into the weekend, will there be more rain or sunshine? Well, Greg is back in the Weather Center with your extended forecast. Greg?
Yeah, thanks again, Natalia. Welcome everybody for our final check at weather. We are taking a look at the water vapor imagery. Upper level low spinning just to the south of Hispaniola and east of Jamaica, bringing some dry air mass on its backside across the southeast and central Bahamas. So we're looking at quite dry conditions across that area. But that upper level low is actually providing some sharing for Philippe, which is still a tropical storm, as well as Rena. But Rena is off the screen right now. But moisture plume still continues across the northwest Bahamas and South Florida, and that's going to continue to provide us with some showers and some isolated thunderstorms across that area throughout the remainder of the weekend. But we expect that front to slide back towards the south. Into the tropics, strong tropical wave moving off the African coast. Some showers and thunderstorms associated with that remains rather disorganized. There's another one that's going to be moving off the African coast in a short while. And then, of course, we have the two systems out there, both tropical storms with 45-mile-per-hour winds. Philippe was doing a little bit of against the models. It was actually going to be moving towards the west. But since these two systems are interacting with each other, most of them now will be taking it, the models are taking it to the north, so we are not going to concern ourselves with this. Philippe will weaken, Rena will weaken, and they will stay well to the east of us, and then closer to home, that moisture plume remaining in place, but dry air mass staying in place for the central and southeast Bahamas. Boating forecast for all areas tonight to tomorrow, small craft caution in effect. We still have some swells out there affecting the Atlantic exposures. Rip current risk is high. East to southeast winds 10 to 15 knots. It will fall light and variable across the northwest Bahamas. Sea is 2 to 4 feet. But they will be building up to 6 feet in some northeasterly swells, mainly along Atlantic exposures. Your high tide is at 8:34 tonight, low tide taking place at 2:49 in the morning. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your extended forecast, the moisture plume staying with us. We'll keep some showers in the forecast throughout the remainder of the weekend and into early portions of next week. But once that front pushes through, high pressure will be building in. We're looking at some very pleasant weather and some cooler temperatures for the middle of next week. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe night and have a great weekend, everybody.
All All right, Greg, thanks so much. Well, the local graduate chapter of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated here in New Providence, along with Friends of Zeta, also known as Ami Chi, doing their part to assist school students with supplies for school. The chapter adopted H.O. Nash Junior High School more than 10 years ago and has been donating supplies to the institution every school year. We spoke to Zeta's second vice president, Enrica Barros, and the Ami Chi president, Nita Tynes, about the donation.
We are grounded in the communities. This is such a great initiative for us because we want to give back, just as those give to the sorority, give to, those in need. We are no different. For these children particularly, a lot of times we see and notice where they don't have enough. Maybe it's because of the community, who knows, but the point is that we wanted to select this school just to show that extra push, that extra boost of support for them, that extra love.
It's very touching to donate to those who are in need, even though we don't know the capacity of it, but at least we are doing a part of building the community.
All right, such a good effort. With that, we thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening.